So, like a vector, a list is a one-dimensional data structure. Unlike a vector, which must have all elements of the same data type, a list can contain different data types as its element. In particular, here we have a list made with the list function of a numeric value, a character value, and a logical value. And we see them outputted down here in the console. The double bracket 1 here indicates that this is the first element of the list, the second element of the list, and the third element of the list. And R is again outputting the single square bracket 1, indicating that this is actually a vector. So the first element of this list is a vector of length 1, which stores the numeric value 42. The second element of the list is also a vector of, this time, a character value, and this last vector here is logical. To further expand upon lists, we'll make a larger list, and we've done a few things differently here. So first we stored the list. Second, when creating the list, we gave it vectors, another vector. We also gave it a function and a matrix, and we stored them in different, in this case, letters. So if I return this list, we see that now, instead of having element numbers, this is still the first element, but now it also has a name, which is A, and it's a vector of numeric values of length 4. We see B is also a vector. We see C is also a vector, similar to what we saw before. Now D, the fourth element, is a function, and E, the fifth element, is a matrix. So we also see that now that it's stored, we can see that the list is contained in the values in our global environment, and we can see the different things stored inside the list by expanding the list. So one thing we'll want to do, like with a vector, is be able to subset a list. So the most frequent thing we'll want to do is access a particular element of the list. So here I use the $sign operator to extract a named element. So here I am extracting this fifth element, E, here from the list, and we see the matrix is returned. Now, we could subset the list to say, give me back part of the list instead of a single element. So to do so, we'll use the single square brackets, much like we did with a vector, and I'll give it a vector of indices, in this case list elements. So this will return a list of length 2, which has the first 2 elements in it. So this here, extracting the first element of the list, is not what this does. What this does is returns a list with the first element in it. So we see here that this is still a list because it has this named element, which happens to be the vector. If we wanted the vector, not a list which contains a vector, we would need to use the double square brackets. This gives me the list element. This gives me the first list element, which is a vector. Instead of giving a vector of indices, I could also give a list of names. So here I am creating a list which contains the element E and A. Similarly, here I'm creating a list with the element E. However, if I wanted to return what's stored in E, I would need to again use the double bracket notation. So one thing that's a little bit different about this list is that it contains, let's see, a vector, a vector, a vector, a function, and a matrix. This function we can return by extracting the element. So this is the function that's stored there. It takes a single argument, 42. It does nothing with that argument and simply prints hello world, because we haven't written hello world yet in R. So to run that, I simply need to add the parentheses to make it a function call, give it an argument, and here we go, we have hello world.